and wake up before the world does, and you will feel something unusual. The silence is almost loud, as if the universe itself is holding its breath just for you. And while others are still locked in their dreams, you are awake, standing at the edge of a brand new day, and that first morning feels like walking into a secret world, one that most people never dare to enter. And your body protests, your eyes beg to close again, your mind whispers that 5 more minutes won't hurt. But if you push through that resistance, you discover something profound. The real battle of life is not out there in boardrooms or stadiums. It begins right here in your bed, in the quiet moment when you decide to rise or remain asleep. And the pillow may seem soft, but it is one of the heaviest weights you will ever lift. And conquer that pillow, and you begin to conquer yourself. The first morning hits you like a shock, because you are forcing your will against comfort, and comfort has always been the greatest enemy of greatness. And you realize in that fragile hour that discipline is not glamorous. It does not arrive with applause or fireworks, and it shows up in sweat, in yawns, in the decision to stand when everything in you screams to lie down. And that first hour of the morning is the testing ground of destiny. Those who fail it will drift through the day reacting to life, but those who pass it begin the day leading life. And rising early teaches you that freedom is not the absence of rules, it is the mastery of yourself. And on that first morning when your legs stumble and your thoughts fight you, you are given the rare opportunity to prove to yourself that you are stronger than your excuses. And when you stand in that early stillness, you notice something else. The air feels different, and there is a purity in the morning that disappears as the day moves forward. And at dawn, the world is uncluttered, untouched by the rush of traffic, the demands of bosses, or the noise of social voices. And in that silence, ideas flow more clearly. Your thoughts are sharper, and your soul feels awake in a way it never does at noon. And this is why the first morning matters so much. It introduces you to yourself, and it strips away the distractions and leaves you face to face with your own determination. And you cannot hide in the early hours. There is no crowd to impress, no one to cheer you on, and it is only you and the choice to keep moving. That is, when you understand that leadership begins within. And if you cannot lead yourself out of bed, how will you ever lead a family, a company, or a nation? And the shock of the first morning is also the unveiling of truth. You learn quickly that time is not equal, and an hour at 5 a.m. is worth 10 at noon, because it is uninterrupted, undistracted, and unclaimed. And in that first morning, you taste the power of what kings, prophets, inventors, and leaders have always known. The early hours carry a sacred weight, and they are the foundation on which the rest of the day is built. And miss that foundation, and you spend the day catching up, secure it, and the day bends in your favor. And the first morning reveals that success is not about working harder, it is about working earlier. And it is not about doing more, it is about doing first what others delay. And in that discovery you begin to sense a shift. Maybe greatness has been waiting all this time, not in the future, but in the morning you keep sleeping through. And it is in that first rising that you encounter resistance in its purest form. But resistance is not a sign of weakness. And it is the proof that something valuable is on the other side. Every fiber of your body will fight you, and yet if you rise, you carry with you a victory that echoes through the rest of the day. And the emails that once felt overwhelming, the meetings that drained you, the tasks you dreaded, and they all lose their power because you already won the hardest battle. You already proved to yourself that you can do what is difficult, and that strength leaks into everything else. And that is why the shock of the first morning must not discourage you. And it is not punishment, it is initiation. You are being tested to see if you are ready to rise into the kind of person who controls life instead of being controlled by it. And on that first morning, standing half awake, while the sun has not yet climbed the horizon, you begin to understand that the world belongs to those who move while others sleep. And it is not about being better than anyone else, but about being better than the version of yourself that would rather stay in bed. And the first morning whispers a truth you cannot ignore. The difference between average and extraordinary begins at dawn. And every empire, every invention, every breakthrough was first built in moments unseen, when the world was quiet and the builder chose discipline over comfort. And now, here you are, invited into that same lineage. The silence of the morning is waiting for you to claim it. And it will resist you at first, but if you embrace the shock, you will find that inside that stillness lies the spark of a new life. And one morning may not change everything, but it changes you. And when you change, everything else follows. And most people believe that time is equal, but it is not. Not all hours carry the same weight, and an hour at 5 in the morning holds a value far greater than the same 60 minutes at noon, because it is untouched, sacred, and pure. And at dawn, the world is silent. Distractions are asleep, and interruptions have not yet begun. And these are the hours when visions are written, when strategies are mapped, when decisions are forged, and delay until later. And you are forced to work in the leftover fragments of a day already claimed by obligations and distractions. And greatness is never built on leftovers. It is built on the first fruits of time. And in those quiet hours, you are not only given freedom, you are handed power. And the power of focus, the power of clarity, the power of stillness while the world is silent. You can hear your inner voice without distortion. And that voice often gets drowned during the day, buried under emails, phone calls, and endless requests. But in the morning, it speaks loudly. And if you listen, it will guide you toward purpose. And the hidden power of the hours is not just in the silence, but in what that silence reveals. And it exposes what really matters. It shows you what must be productized. It sharpens your vision like a blade honed in fire. And this is why kings, inventors, leaders, and prophets chose to rise before the sun. And they understood that destiny is not discovered in crowds, it is uncovered in solitude. And the builders of empires and the writers of history were not people who drifted lazily into their mornings. They seized them with intensity. And they knew that whoever controls the morning controls the day, and whoever controls the day shapes the future. And to rise early is to stand in the workshop of destiny before others even knock on the door. And in those hours, ideas are born that can change industries. Books are written that can outlive centuries. Prayers are spoken that can shift nations. And the wealth of nations and the strength of leaders have always been built on the currency of early hours. And the hidden power of the hours is also a mirror. It reveals who you really are. And at dawn, there is no one to impress, no audience to clap, no competition to beat. And it is you against yourself. And that is why those hours are so potent. They test your commitment in the absence of applause, and anyone can appear disciplined when watched. But the morning asks if you can be disciplined when unseen. And in that question lies greatness. To rise before the sun is to train yourself for leadership, because true leadership is forged in moments where no one is looking. And it is the habit of showing up faithfully when no one else will. And every early morning you win is a rehearsal for victories the world will one day witness. And do not mistake these hours as simply practical. They are spiritual. The dawn carries a rhythm, a pulse that synchronizes with creation itself. and even nature seems to bow to its power. Birds sing, the air feels lighter, and the first light of the sun announces possibility. And to walk into those hours is to step into alignment with creation, to join the symphony of beginnings. And when you breathe in the stillness of dawn, you are breathing the same air that inspired poets, revolutionaries, prophets, and pioneers. And that is why so many breakthroughs are conceived in the morning. The early hours carry seeds of transformation, waiting only for someone willing to rise and plant them. And by the time the world wakes, the one who embraced the early hours already holds an advantage that cannot be caught. And while others stumble into their routines, half distracted, you walk with direction, clarity, and purpose. And while others scramble to react, you execute what you already planned. This is the unseen edge of success, the secret of those who appear unstoppable. And it is not luck, not chance, but the discipline of mastering the hidden power of hours others carelessly sleep through. And the world only sees the results. But the foundation was always laid when no one was watching. And success is not built in public, it is built in mornings, and you no longer wake up dragging yourself out of bed in rebellion against comfort. Instead, you feel as though something greater is pulling you forward, and the alarm that used to sound like an enemy now feels like a signal reminding you that the world is waiting to be conquered. And your body, once heavy with protest, begins to adapt. Muscles learn the rhythm, eyes open with more ease, and a surprising strength starts to flow through your spirit. And the fatigue that tried to hold you hostage is replaced by an energy you cannot explain. And in that energy, you find the first taste of transformation. And by the third day, the fog in your mind begins to lift. Thoughts that once felt scattered start to arrange themselves into clarity, and your focus sharpens, and decisions that used to feel heavy become lighter. You discover that the early hours carry not just silence, but brilliance, a brilliance that had been locked behind years of oversleeping. And you look at your work and realize you are doing in 2 hours what once took you 2 days. And the tasks that drained you now seem simple because you are meeting them with a rested mind and a sharpened spirit. And you see the day differently. And that vision alone becomes a weapon against mediocrity. And when others finally stumble into their routines, you have already built a wall of progress too high for them to climb. And after 3 days, the mirror begins to show a different person. You notice yourself walking with more confidence, speaking with more conviction, and holding your head higher. And you realize that discipline breeds dignity. People around you sense the difference, though they cannot explain it. And they may ask why you seem brighter, more decisive, more alive, but they do not know your secret, and they do not see the battles you are winning in the dark. And while they were still lost in their dreams, you were up building yours. And while they clung to comfort, you were forging character. They see the results, but not the process. And that is what makes your transformation both mysterious and powerful. And it is not only about productivity, it is about identity. By the third morning, you realize you are no longer the same person, and you have tasted control. And once you taste control, you cannot go back to chaos. And you begin to crave the early hours, not because they are easy, but because they are yours, and they belong to you in a way the rest of the day never can. End quote. And the stillness becomes addictive, the clarity becomes irresistible, and the discipline becomes your new pride. And you find yourself planning deeper, thinking clearer, praying stronger, writing sharper, and acting bolder. And the person you were 3 days ago already feels like a stranger, replaced by someone who is finally awake to possibility. And by the 4th and 5th mornings, the transformation deepens. Your body now rises almost naturally, your mind welcomes the silence, and your spirit anticipates the power. And you notice you are no longer merely pushing through difficulty, you are being carried by momentum. And every small victory at dawn stacks upon the one before it, and soon it feels as if nothing can stop you. And the day is no longer something that happens to you. It is something you command, and you lead the hours instead of chasing them. And in that leadership, you begin to glimpse the life you were meant to live. And this is why the early rising matters. It reveals to you not just the potential of your day, but the potential of your destiny. And by the sixth morning, the discipline that once felt foreign now feels natural, and you rise not with resistance but with resolve. There is no longer a war between comfort and conviction, because conviction has already won, and the fatigue that once haunted you is gone, replaced by a steady strength. And you find joy in watching the sunrise, joy in breathing the cool morning air, joy in the realization that while most of the world is still asleep, you are alive and fully present. And you see now that greatness does not come in sudden explosions of opportunity, but in quiet, consistent victories, repeated day after day, until they redefine who you are. And the transformation after day 3 is not about surviving the morning. It is about becoming the kind of person who thrives in it. And by the 7th morning, you realize what began as a challenge has quietly become a lifestyle, and you no longer rise early because you must. You rise because you want to, and you are not chasing the day anymore, you are shaping it. And in conquering the dawn, you have discovered the dawn within you, and once you find that light, no darkness of distraction or delay can put it out again. And 7 days of early rising do more than adjust a routine. They transform the very essence of who you are. And at first you relied on an alarm clock to jolt you from sleep, but after a week, you find that your body no longer resists, and you wake not from sound, but from purpose. The sun no longer drags you forward. Your vision pulls you out of bed before the light even breaks the horizon, and those early hours, once dismissed as insignificant, become sacred ground. They are no longer stolen by sleep, but claimed by intention, a private sanctuary where your dreams breathe and your strength is reborn. And when you rise at dawn, you step into a space that few ever experience, and the world around you is still. Yet within that silence beats the pulse of destiny, and ideas that once seemed far away come closer, and solutions to challenges begin to reveal themselves. And in that solitude you realize that the sunrise is not just a natural event, it is an invitation, and it calls you to step into alignment with possibility, to embrace the freshness of a new day, and to shape it before it shapes you. And by the 7th morning, you understand that the early hours are not empty, they are filled with clarity, waiting for you to claim it. And the transformation of those 7 days is not measured in tasks checked off or hours gained, but in identity. And you have become someone new. You are no longer defined by excuses or bound by laziness. And you are not chasing the day anymore, you are leading it. That shift is more powerful than any achievement, because it means you now live as the architect of your time instead of a prisoner of it. And each morning you rose, you laid another brick in the foundation of discipline, and now you stand upon it with confidence. And the dawn has taught you something no classroom, no book, no mentor can fully teach. The mastery of self is the beginning of mastery of life, and do not underestimate what the sunrise holds. Every dawn is a doorway, and behind it waits more than just another day. It carries the possibility of transformation. And if you treat those hours as ordinary, you will miss the treasure they hold. But if you honor them, they will deliver to you clarity that others spend years searching for. And within the glow of first light lies discipline, strength, and direction. Step through that door each morning, and you will find that the future you once feared begins to take shape in your hands. And when you choose the dawn, you choose to live differently from the majority. And most will sleep through it, convinced that comfort is worth more than growth. And they will cling to their pillows while you are already investing in your destiny. And they will wake to chase the hours while you wake to command them. And though they will not see it at first, the difference will reveal itself. And over weeks and months, your consistency will create separation, your thoughts clearer, your energy stronger, your results undeniable. And while they ask how you achieved so much, you will smile, knowing that it all began when you decided to rise while the world slept. And by the 7th day, you begin to sense a rhythm. What felt like effort has become flow. And your mornings no longer belong to sleep. They belong to vision. And that vision begins to touch every area of your life. And relationships improve because you approach them with patience and clarity. Work transforms because you engage it with focus instead of fatigue. And even your health shifts because discipline in waking spills into discipline in how you eat, how you move, how you live. And the early hours are no longer just about what you do. They shape who you are becoming. And the dawn also humbles you. Standing in the quiet light, you realize how small you are in the grand design, and yet how powerful your choices can be. And you see that every sunrise is a gift. One more chance to write your story, one more opportunity to lead your life with purpose. And this gift is offered daily, freely, without fail. The question is whether you will accept it or ignore it. And those who ignore it drift through life. Those who embrace it step into destiny. And 7 mornings are enough to show you the difference. The destiny waiting in the dawn is not reserved for the chosen few. It is available to anyone willing to claim it. And the doors of clarity, discipline, and vision open to those who consistently walk toward them.